What's up, guys? Dark Knight with you tonight. So, I've been thinking about this topic for quite a while, and I never really, I really didn't know how to come across this, and I was hesitating whether to actually make a video about this, but I am, and it's something that I think is very controversial. It's a lot of people have mixed opinions how to be a certain way, um, just in general. But basically, I honestly think that being a man, different generations have had, their own ideology on what defines being a man. And obviously, you can say, well, have you got a cock and have you got cock and balls? There's that. There's the biological aspect, but I'm talking about beyond physiological, beyond physical. Beyond the anatomy, and you know when you've got types of people, when you've got certain people who will say, well, oh, you're not a man because you don't like so and so. You don't drink beer. You know you can't handle banter. You don't look a certain way. You're not part of our group. That's what they're basically saying. You're not part of our group. What we define as a proper man. That's what they're saying. It's not. It's not that you're not a man. It's that you're not a man in their eyes. And I've never been the one to really fit in a box. To be a certain way to please other people. And there's so many aspects where people could say, well, you're not masculine, you're not this X, Y, and Z, so you're not really a man. You're just a male, you know, you're just a boy, or whatever it is. But that's where we're wrong, because I think everybody is an individual. Everybody is an individual, and we've all got our own traits, and we've all got our own personalities. We've all got things we like and dislike, and we don't all agree on the same things. That's what it boils down to. And no matter what, the fucking theories and ideologies of what someone thinks is a man, everybody's got their own, ideologies. Everybody's got their own theories and fucking philosophies. You know what I'm trying to say. Um, and I choose to go against this traditional programming of, you've got to do this, you've got to look a certain way, you've got to like this, you've got to be able to fart and laugh about it and talk about farts and women and fucking fighting and typical stuff that guys do talk about. And I'm not saying I'm totally against it, but at the same time, I don't always want to be that way. Sometimes I don't really think about that at all. I don't think about wanting to fit in, wanting to talk about the same things everybody else is talking about. you know. And it's 2026, and we're all entitled to just be ourselves. We're all entitled to just be individuals that we don't conform to certain stereotypes, and that's what it is really. I think that most people want to fit you in this stereotypical character box that, oh well, I can establish him now. I can recognise him because of he likes this a certain way or something. So many people just want to characterise you So many people just want you to be in a this stereotype box, because it makes it easy for other people to read you and understand you, and you become predictable. That's what it boils down to, really. You know, like, and, you know, part of, you know, why I've called myself Black Pill Dark Knight on my YouTube channel, because I do see myself as a bit of a dark knight. I do see myself as somebody who is going the opposite direction to most people. You know, just you know, I just see myself. You know, I'm a type of person just to go against the grain, and you know, I you know, I usually just my life. I go solo. I'm a solo guy. It's either you're with me, you're against me, or you're in the same boat as me, where you're neither. You're just there, just living just like me. You know, I think that looking at it in a way of you're either with me or against me is not completely the way to go. You know, there's a lot of people as well in this world who just see themselves as a lone wolf. You know, there's loads of guys. There's a lot of guys who are just lone wolves. You know, they pick the battles, and they're very selective on who they want to be around, who they talk to. I'm the same way. You know, I don't want to speak to everybody. I'll be social, but I don't want everybody to be my friend, and I don't want to be friends with everybody. You know, I kind of just want to pick and choose. You know, and make my own judgments, make my own judgments on you know, whether somebody's compatible to be my friend. We're not all made for each other. We're not all compatible. Some people, you know, just don't vibe with each other, and that's okay. You know, like, there's 6 billion people. It's either 6 or 7 billion people in this planet. You know, we're bound to have conflicts. We're bound to not all agree on the same thing. It's what makes us individuals. You know, like, I guess it's why I relate to a lot of fictional movies like Batman or Mad Max, because those typical guys they're just doing their own thing. They're solo. You know, they ride solo. You know, but, I mean, they still build the bridges. They still have acquaintances and associates, but that's all they are. Acquaintances and associates. And that's alright. Some people just want to withdraw, and they just want to be alone because they've been through the hurt so much. They've been through pain and just emotional suffering, scarring. You know, and they've had bad experiences with people, and they've just got to a point of their life where they're like, that's it, I draw the line. I'm not going to go through all this again. I'm not going to go through the suffering, or, you know, I'm not going to go through the pain. I refuse to disrespect myself like that again. And that's what it is mostly. A lot of people who have been hurt so many times, they refuse to go back. They refuse to go back in. They refuse to. You know, potentially get the heart broken again. They refuse to have friends because a lot of their friendships ended in betrayal. And you've got to weigh it up. Is it worth it? Is it really worth me going out again? Is it really worth me getting back out there, putting myself in the market, being very social, being very sociable for pretty much next to nothing, like just with very little reward or no reward. No, that's the reality most days now. That's the reality in this era that we live in. It's a lot of people are cold, and a lot of people are picking up on that. They're picking up on the vibe. So many people who just want to withdraw into their own world, who are very protective of themselves, and I'm one of them. You know, I am very protective. I am very aware of my surroundings. And it's not just because I woke up one day and chose to be like this out of nowhere. It's because of the experiences I've had. And I refuse to go through it again.